Why unstoppable finances? I don't get it. Inside this episode, we're talking about how to set smart money goals, why unstoppable finances, and what it actually means for you and how to make it happen. So let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Your Money, Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Cerka. For those of you watching on YouTube, yes, I'm wearing glasses. Fun fact to start off this episode. So, after, or you might not know, after you have a baby, like hormones gotta go crazy weird. So something that I am dealing with since Natalie was born has been really extremely dry eyes. It's very weird. So I'm having problems with my contacts that I've never had before. I can put it in my eye, it's a brand new contact, and within an hour or so, it'll be so dry. If I go to pull it back out, it just folds in on itself. It's so dry. So I have to keep giving my eyes breaks, and I've been recording all day long today. So here we are with glasses. But if you're listening to the podcast, like I normally do, actually, the way that I consume. Whoa. Okay, here we go. I normally listen to podcasts instead of watching them. So if you're listening, make sure we're connected on Instagram. I'll make sure I'll share pick whatever of me and said glasses, life struggles, right? Let's get to it. We're talking about why unstoppable finances. I've heard since I've really started talking more and more about the unstoppable finances framework, which I've had the framework. We just didn't necessarily call it a framework until about a year ago was when I first introduced it. And I've had a couple people I just don't get it. That's not appealing to me. And I can see that. It's not necessarily one of those hey, we're going to make 100,000 concrete things that people think of. But actually next week, you're going to hear an episode from one of our Academy members is going to be a guest on the show. And we had really, really, really great conversation. And I love something that she said in there, just made me so happy. And you're going to hear her kind of embracing and understanding of why the unstoppable finances framework. So make sure you're subscribed so you can hear next week's, but let's talk about it. Why unstoppable finances? I work to help you step into unstoppable finances because it's not about not having struggles. It's not the absence of struggles. Having and being unstoppable with your finances means creating the peace even when the struggle is there. If we've learned nothing else over the last couple of years, we know that stuff is going to come up, right? It's going to happen. And I am not somebody who's going to tell you that it's going to be all rainbows and butterflies. And honestly, if you find somebody that tells you it's going to be all rainbows and butterflies, I would probably run. No, thank you. But creating peace and stepping into peace, even when the struggle's there, I can get on board with that. And that's what's been life-changing. So when you have unstoppable finances, you have the multiple income streams without working 80-hour work weeks, without relying on the stock market or other traditional methods. Unstoppable finances also means having money to play and enjoy life without sacrificing your security, savings, or investments. Unstoppable finances means educating and empowering yourself to understand money. That means how to manage it, how to receive it, what it actually is, your history with it, and how that actually affects you, and how the economy works. When you step into unstoppable finances, you understand that there are cliches that aren't in your best interest. The one we've talked about most frequently is not all debt is bad, or even that hardcore debt payoff strategies. When you have unstoppable finances, you have that system so that you're not overwhelmed. You know where to begin, you know what to do, and you're prepared. Having financial security in a way that makes sense in 2023, not just blindly stacking money in a savings account or or investing into the stock market. Those strategies don't necessarily work anymore in 2023. And the stock market, that's a whole nother thing. We'll get into that another day. But with inflation, please don't be somebody that's sticking 6 months of savings in a savings account anymore. That just does not work. Okay? And I don't want you to waste your hard-earned effort. Unstoppable finances know that there is more to life than making money, but figuring out the money thing first accelerates your success in other areas of life. And Unstoppable Finances is having the courage to admit that you can figure this out a lot faster with someone in your corner who gets it. That is why the Academy is so perfect. I really wanted it to be something that was sustainable for me and my priorities as well, but like achievable for you and your wallet. Like you're trying to figure things out as well. I didn't want to be this high ticket 5-figure entry point. Like that just does not work for me. I wanted this to be doable for you. Now, let's talk about what SMART money goals are. You've probably heard this before. So SMART is an acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time specific. So specific, like you have to be able to like, what do you want? It's not just like, I want a lot of money. Like get specific with it. Okay. The second one is measurable. You have to be able to tell whether or not you've achieved it. Like, yes, a lot of the goals that I work on inside the Academy is a lot more intangible, like feelings, emotions, that piece. Like, it's hard to measure that, but we can measure and quantify some things about it. We can measure impulse spending from stress, from finances. We can measure different, even like health effects. When you're stressed about your finances, you might have these tendencies. Or this would also, like, we'll get into like the practical strategy of it. Like I've sat here and I've checked in with my money, regardless of what's going on. I've checked in with the system once a week, like I'm supposed to. Measurable, so that you know that you have achieved it or you haven't achieved it. Which brings us to the next one. Achievable. It is way more important to set a smaller goal that you can achieve versus setting, we used to call them BHAG goals, big, hairy, audacious goals, like those crazy out there goals. So if you're barely making $100 a month and you're telling me you want to go to 10K months, break it down. Start smaller. What is the first step to get there? And then you can work your way up. We did an episode on this and we talked about cognitive dissonance in the way that we create this, because if we try and do something that is not achievable, your subconscious mind will actually sabotage you because it's trying to protect you. So achievable goals, set an achievable goal. Relevant, is it something that's important to you? Like, don't set a goal that you like, no big deal for me, right? Something that's important to you. And then time specific. Now, time specific, honestly, for myself, I don't necessarily set time specific goals anymore. So I'm saying you can take it or leave it. I said that I was going to talk about what SMART money goals were. So we're doing that. We have a whole module inside the Academy all about goal setting and vision for Unstoppable Finances. But the reason why I don't necessarily set time specific goals anymore is because I set goals and the results goals are not time specific. Okay. So let's use that that common 10K months, right? If I want to get to 10K months, the goal would be like having consistent 10K months. But the time specific part, and the part that I'm actually really focusing on, are the actions that I'm taking to get me there, the things that I can control. Because I can't control what everyone else does. But I can control what I can control and set the time specific goals around that. So whether that's having, reaching out to a set number of people, we'll say 2 people a week for collaborations, because I know that that'll help me get closer to that goal. Because the more people I'm in front of, the more people that'll be exposed, the more people that'll convert. And we're going to start focusing, if this is all like, whoa, this is kind of crazy out there, we are focusing more on the income side of the framework right now, because I know this is what you need and this is what you're looking for. So if you have specific questions around the income side that you want to make sure that I answer or bring in an expert to answer over the next probably couple months, shoot me a text, 817-969-4653. If you're driving, that link is in the show notes as well. But I want to hear like what questions you got. Like, I am here. I want to make sure we're getting those answered for you. So that's my take on the time specific. If you're starting out, you can try both ways, but I find the pressure there's good pressure and there's bad pressure. So there's a good pressure that's forcing you to do the thing that you don't really want to do, but there's also bad pressure where you're not showing up in the best version of yourself because you're too concerned about like hitting that deadline. It's almost like a desperation that comes across. And it's the same thing that shows up when we get focused. So like, this is great segue here. The same thing that happens if you are so focused on like, I gotta make more money, I gotta make more money, I gotta make more money. And then you end up not making more money because you give off like this desperation isn't the right word, but that's the only word that's coming to mind. So we're going to go with it. This is desperation. But when you are able to have that peace and come into those unstoppable finances and like you're good with that, even if things are a little tight, even if there is a little struggle, you exude that confidence, then you end up making more money from that. I know it's crazy, but it works. Now, let's see. Wanted to give you a couple examples of what your money goals might be. Maybe this is creating financial security. And if you're inside the Academy or Budgeting Simplified, you have access to the financial security calculator and how we calculate security in a way that feels aligned in 2023, right? Like that is important. Again, we talked about like not stockpiling money in a savings account, like 3 to 6 months in a savings account does not work anymore. But there is like, we need to have some money in a savings account because if something happened tomorrow and you lost all of your income, you need to be able to have cash on hand or assets available that you can utilize. But if something happened a month ago, you would have had time to liquidate some assets. So some of those we can call like marketed assets, and then we'd have long-term assets. And we bring those together. Ideally, we still want to have at least 3 months of financial security. If something happened tomorrow, you lost all of your income, you'd want about 3 months on hand. But with that calculator, we show you how to calculate that. It's really plug and play for you. If you're not a Budgeting Simplified member or inside the Academy, of course, I'll have links to that below in the show notes for you to check it out, but I'll also include one directly to the calculator if you just want the calculator. Another example for your money goal would be paying off debt, which we talked about before should not be your focus, but you can still have a goal of paying off debt without focusing on it. You're getting like borderline there though. We need to be careful making sure your intention is still growing your net worth, but it is still smart to track like your debt payoff numbers as well. We also have resources for you on that. I'll make sure those are in the show notes. That would be inside the Budgeting for Success worksheets. But if you're flirting that line, still want to work on debt payoff versus focusing on your net worth, make sure you got some support, accountability. I am here for you. If nothing else, we do those regular Q&A days via text now so that I can support you through that. Again, my number's in the show notes. Just shoot me a text that says question. I'll make sure you get registered for those, okay? And then another example for you to increase your income. Like I said, that's going to be a focus for us. It's going to be increasing revenue because there's only so much we can manage our money. Yes, it's important. Yes, you need to be doing it, but we also want to increase that revenue as well. So if you're like, I want to increase my revenue, like we talked about, pick something that is achievable and measurable. And then if you join me inside the Academy, I can help you walk through those steps. What are the action steps? What have you done that helps you see results? But otherwise, set that goal, figure out what the action steps you need to be is. Your challenge today, I want you to pick one money goal. Start with one, share it with me on Instagram at Aimee Cerka or send it to me via text 817-969-4653. I think that is it for this episode. Make sure to check out the resources in the show notes and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Wondering what's next? When you're ready, there are different levels of support that you can use on the path to creating unstoppable finances and your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique and your support should be too. Ultimately, we'll create a customized plan to ditch financial struggle for good that works for you, your goals, your priorities, your life. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of our most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what your next step should be.